Sarah Palin, the ice queen, has lost her election. Yes, she was running for Congress. She has lost. Well, let's put up the picture of the woman she lost to. Democrat Mary Peltola won the special election to fill Alaska's House seat for the remainder of 2022. According to unofficial results released by the Alaska Division of Elections, halting former Governor Sarah Palin's bid at a political comeback. Really interesting here. Let me put up a picture of Sarah Palin. So Palin, who was, as you know, the Republican Party's 2008 vice presidential nominee, will get another shot at the House race in a few months as she and her opponent are among those vying to fill the term in a separate election in November. It is interesting to note that Sarah Palin is actually blaming the voters for being dumb. I'm going to explain that in a minute. With her victory, talking about the political opponent, Peltola, the former state lawmaker will now flip the seat held for nearly half a century by the GOP, by the late GOP Representative Don Young, and is set to become the first Alaska native in the United States Congress. Palin criticized what? Ranked choice voting in a statement after the results were released on Wednesday, calling it a new, crazy, convoluted, confusing system. Oh, I get it, Sarah, Governor Palin, if I may. You're saying that the voters were just too dumb to figure out how to vote. That explains it all. That's the reason why you did not win the election. Though we're disappointed in this outcome, Alaskans know I'm the last one who will ever retreat. Instead, I'm going to go reload with optimism that Alaskans learn from this voting system mistake and correct it in the next election. Let's work even harder to send an America First conservative to Washington in November. Well, I'll be damned. There's an entirely new way to lose. So Trump, who has mastered the election must be rigged and they cheated way to lose, okay? Sarah Palin is coming from a different direction here. She's saying, well, the voting was so complex and the people of Alaska are obviously so dumb. That combination is the reason why I was not victorious here. All right. In related but unrelated news, John Eastman, as I said and predicted, an attorney who helped craft the illegal plan to create artificial, fake electoral college members, has decided to invoke the Fifth Amendment. What is the Fifth Amendment? That's the right against self-incrimination. He did this before a Georgia grand jury on Wednesday as the grand jury conducts a wide-ranging probe into the 2020 election interference that has now scooped multiple Trump associates, advisors, and attorneys. Now remember, they're all part of the same movement. These are conservatives. Sarah Palin, once governor, could not even win a congressional seat. The seat has now flipped for the first time in decades because Sarah Palin is part of a losing team. Also, Eastman, the attorney, as I said weeks ago, he's the guy, in my conclusion, he's the guy who actually coordinated the massively illegal scheme to create fake electors, have them sign an affidavit with the help of Giuliani, who was a catalyst for this illegal program. Submit that affidavit or those affidavits directly to Washington. They wanted Mike Pence to certify the fake electors. Now there's a difference between fake electors and feckless electors. A feckless elector is a legitimate elector who decides to go against the activation of their political party. That's what a feckless elector is. That is legal. However, it could have a civil penalty. A fake elector is when you lie on an affidavit and say you are in fact a legitimate elector, and you have now thus created a criminal element against yourself. All right, Ben, thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, so Sarah Palin's theory is that a more democratic system is too confusing for the voters of Alaska. I have a different theory, and this theory is that Republican candidates don't have a very high resale value, which is to say, Republicans are mostly organized around hating Democrats, right? And hating, well, I mean, let's be clear, like they hate a lot of folks, right? Like you name the laundry list of bigotries that Republicans hold with them, and those are the people that Republicans hate. They don't really like their candidates, right? Just like George Bush, right? When George Bush was no longer in office, everybody kind of stopped pretending that he was some sort of genius, right? And it's the same story with Sarah Palin. It turns out that when a lot of these Republican candidates lose, they're kind of just gone forever, aside from like the lobbyist circuit, because Republicans don't even like their own candidates. They don't even like what their own politicians do in their own states. Just look at a Republican in a red state, and I bet they'll tell you about how terrible everything is. They just like to blame it on people like Joe Biden. And so really what Sarah Palin is realizing is that her career has been over for years and years now, and is sort of refusing to accept that the voters never really liked you, Sarah, right? The voters never really liked you, Sarah. They just hated the Democrats. And that really is, I think, a critical component of American politics that more people need to understand.
That's right, very well said.